your host, Ranee B, here to spill some homicidal tea in today's case, man. This guy was one of a kind. He was hardworking, he knew what fun could be had in the outdoors, and he was just generally a jack of all trades. One thing though, not everyone thought he was such a good dude though. I mean, I actually found a lot of people online that absolutely hated this dude. And they were from entries from an old forum and some old forums that he participated in. But you know what? I mean, it happens, whatever. Henry was just brazen. And sometimes he would just say things that might be considered what some people would say controversial. But in his defense, he was also known as a guy willing to lend a hand if someone needed it. The type of guy to look past someone's flaws if he believed in his heart they were good people. And well, unfortunately, that is exactly what got him in trouble and eventually took his life. Trusting the wrong person. The person that he put his trust in would eventually be the catalyst of a string of events that would end up in homicide. The solved homicide case of Henry Stange. Californian Henry Stange was a 54-year-old resident of Murrieta. He was going through the process of divorcing his wife of over 10 years and hammering out a custody agreement for their two small children that they shared. Life, it hasn't been the most easiest thing for Henry lately. He was in an accident, a serious motorcycle accident, left him unable to walk on his own. He did his best not to let that deter him from enjoying the outdoors and tore up the radio waves. What kind of waves? Waves, would you say? Those would be ham radio waves. You guys even know what those are? I mean, it was a scene back in the day, but I didn't even know anybody even used those things still, but apparently people still mess with them. But Henry did, and along with writing and infuriating others on forums online related to ham radios, of course, he would tinker with about anything electronic, and he was good at doing so, I mean, he had a real talent for that kind of thing. On June 1st, 2018, a hiker in the Joshua Tree National Forest noticed vultures circling over a particular site. The hiker was actually so amazed with the number of these giant birds that he took a couple pictures and later showing it to his wife when he got home. He explained that it was probably just a dead animal, but his wife, she was one of us.
I love all my people out there. I love you all.
One of those CSI show jaded, true crime thinking people. You know the type? Well, she thought that there might be something a little bit darker behind the attraction of so much wildlife. So they contacted the rangers at the Joshua Tree National Forest so they could go out and take a look for themselves, just in case. Well, it's a good thing that they did, because by the time rangers got there, it had been over 24 hours later. You would think that, the birds would have moved on and, whatnot, but no. By this time, coyotes, other predators, more birds were present, getting closer to trying to snag their dibs at this poor animal. But as the rangers traversed the uneven terrain to get closer to the site of this fracas, they saw what looked like a patch of disturbed land, and then the absolute undeniable scent of human decomp. This wasn't a wild animal. This was a person. The rangers could tell that the body had been buried there for about 2 weeks. Now, since this was a crime scene, they stepped back and allowed the Riverside County Sheriff's Office to take it from there. Jurisdictions. The Sheriff's Office found what they identified as a middle-aged Caucasian male in a shallow 2x2 grave. Whoever had done this did so with little or no knowledge of how to properly bury something. I mean, the lower half of the body was almost under grade level of soil. And that means that, just a couple of good shovels full of dirt, and boom, you would have reached the poor man. Once unearthed, the detectives determined that this was not the crime scene and that they were dealing with an extremely novice killer. This person had no idea what they were doing, which is always a plus because, the more mistakes made, the quicker justice can be served, right? The medical examiner was able to tell that there were several blunt force fractures on the victim's skull. Now, the autopsy report listed the death as homicidal violence, and the detectives revved their engines. Time to get this perp who did this to this poor man. The first order of business, though, was identifying the poor victim. Latent print examiners reviewed the fingerprints taken at autopsy, and they got a hit and came back to the man by the name of Henry Stange. Police found that Henry had been living alone, so there was no one home when they went to his address that was listed. I mean, with probable cause to enter the residence now, obviously. I mean, finding a body, I would think that could definitely sign off on a warrant. Police officers, they made their entrance to the home, and after doing a sweep of the residence, the police found a large pool of blood in what has been reported as being the garage. However, whenever I pulled the address up on Google Maps, it showed the area to be mostly mobile homes. So I'm not quite sure what they meant by garage, because most mobile homes don't have covered or separate garages. But regardless, we're just going to call it garage from here on out. But anyway, in this garage, that's where they found a huge pool of blood that convinced them that this was a matter that had to, once again, be transferred to a different jurisdiction. Enter the Marietta Police Department. Detectives on site informed the new officers involved that, by all appearances, there had been a vicious brawl that took place here. It looked like that from the blood spatter and the drag marks that Henry had been attacked while either standing or sitting, and then taken to the ground and savagely beaten. Investigators took blood samples, but unfortunately no fingerprints or shoe impressions were discovered at the scene. They did notice that a feeble attempt at cleaning up had happened, just like the murder itself, though it was sloppy at best. When detectives spoke to Henry's family, his mother, his two sisters, they provided information concerning his divorce, but it quickly became clear that his ex-wife had nothing to do with this. Her alibis and stories all checked out, and she was cleared. What the ex-wife did have to say is that she knew that the utilities had no longer been in use as of May 24th. Detectives also found that Henry had not been heard on the ham radio airwaves after May 24th. He was on there every single day, never missing a day. So it was looking like this was probably the date of this awful event. Delving deeper into Henry's radio life, they found that he was not one to shy away from topics that ruffled a few feathers. He had a legion of people who hated his topics and his explanations for things. His website that was dedicated to how awful he was. I tried to find it, but I couldn't. But regardless, Henry had told his family about people that had been making threats to his safety, and some even followed through with them. And around January that same year, they'd attacked him. They beat him up pretty bad, and it was serious enough for him to install security cameras to make him feel more at ease, even though they didn't work. But it was something to... It was enough cause to make him try to fool people into thinking there were security cameras. So he was definitely afraid for his safety. Police looked into anyone who made comments online or around town, and they followed up a lead to two brothers with a particular distaste for Henry. But they were ruled out. So they were once again at square one. Henry's family and ex-wife let police in on a fact that they had not come across yet. Henry had been seeing a young woman by the name of Ashley Stapp. Ashley had the reputation of a local Craigslist drugs for sex party girl. Well, the truth was that, yes, she'd been struggling with addiction and mostly to pain medications, and Henry's family could see right through her. She knew of Henry's oxycodones and that he was getting them because of his motorcycle accident. So obviously it was a match made in hell, right? I mean, after all, even the police knew of Ashley and her presence in the drug community, and she basically would hang out with anyone that could feed her habit, even if she had to use them to do so. Since Ashley's car, it was a blue Honda Accord, it was damaged on the front end, and people in the neighborhood, they knew her car, and it was easy to recognize. And that's when police heard that neighbors said they saw her driving by Henry's house on the day that the police began their inquiry. She'd driven past, seen all the activity, didn't even bother to slow down or ask or say anything. And this concerned the police. It did not take long for them to discover that Ashley was already involved with the U.S. Marine Corps First Lieutenant by the name of Curtis Kruger. Normally, First Lieutenant, nice, good dude, right? Well, some reports say that she was actually his wife, though most do not. So we're just going to call her whore from here on. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no, she didn't.
Sorry. I mean, the girl that was seeking, pill popping. Whatever. Pain pill popping whore. I like that better.
That's a lot of facts.
Henry was seeing this person. Yuck. Her odd activities and seeming unwillingness to assist in the investigation allowed them to get a warrant for her and Curtis's phone records, including cell tower locations. When detectives poured through the call logs and location coordinates, boom, May 24th, phone records put both of them at Henry's residence in the days right around the murder. Despite lacking tangible proof, detectives elected to wiretap their phones, of course with a warrant. They also came up with a plan. Knowing that the police station was right across the street from Ashley's brother's house, they drove out there and questioned him regarding this case. They asked him if he knew any of the subjects pictured. Here's a picture that they showed him. Yeah. And that picture showed Henry and his sister. So, well, he said, I recognize my sister, Ashley. I don't know who that guy is, though, with her. Well, the detectives then asked Ashley's brother if he could take a photo with his phone of the photograph and text it to Ashley to see if she knew who this man was. Now, investigators, they knew she knew who he was, of course. The investigators never ask you a question they don't know the answer to. Anyway, Ashley's brother, none the wiser, told detectives that he would send it to her and get right back with him. Trap set. Game, ball, match. The detectives monitoring the wiretap patiently waited, but didn't have to wait for long. Not even 30 minutes later, Ashley called her brother and explained she didn't recognize the man and had not been involved in any crime, and don't worry about me, I'm fine. Then she immediately called Curtis, old Marine man, and they were in panic mode. Good. Dude, seriously, they went into such ridiculous detail about how they did it, what they did, what they were going to plan on, even down to how they got Henry into Curtis's truck. And if anyone had seen them, I mean, talk about dumb. I mean, they even talked about burying the poor guy. Needless to say, the police had enough. They immediately secured warrants and swiftly arrested these two clowns. Hooray! Maybe. Of course, when they brought Ashley in, she was doe-eyed and she totally denied everything, and she claimed complete innocence until detectives flat out told her, dude, we got your number. We heard you on the phone to Curtis. You confessed everything. You know that, right? What happened next? Yes, you're correct. Ding, ding, ding. Story change time. Oh, God, these are so predictable. Ashley quickly changed her story, saying that she just been to Henry's, just there to see his body inside the truck and didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't do anything about a murder. Ashley said that Curtis was insanely jealous and controlling, tracked her every move with her GPS, and would get enraged about learning about time she was spending with Henry. Anything to distance yourself, boo. Ashley said it was all Curtis, and that he planned everything. He did everything. After killing Henry and wrapping him in a blanket, he forced her to help him load Henry into the truck and had made her bury him in Joshua Tree National Forest. Oh, it's so hard being a dubhead whore. The detectives had enough of this idiot, and they turned their questioning to Curtis. But nope, brick wall constructed out of his right to legal representation. They couldn't do anything else except just let him go and get the DA to do their thing, which they refused to do. The district attorney's office refused to take the case. They said there wasn't enough physical evidence for their liking. I mean, are you kidding me? Okay, my girl, cold justice girl, Kelly Siegler, love her. Anyway, she did this demonstration in one of them where she takes a pencil, she breaks it, and she said, that's one piece of circumstantial evidence. But when you take a whole bunch of pencils and you try to break them, you can't. That's like having a ton of circumstantial evidence. It's enough. But this DA didn't think so, so out the door Curtis walked. But he didn't get too far, because as you guys in the States might be familiar with, the Marine Corps said, hold up, asshole, you're not going anywhere, not on our watch. They locked him up in a detention center at the Marine base so they could start their own internal investigation. Armed forces don't play. Watch A Few Good Men, okay?
You can't handle the truth!
Well, with word getting out about this case and Curtis's involvement, Curtis's own cousin actually contacted authorities and told them that she had been told by Curtis himself that he had attempted to kill Henry previously that year. The cousin's account matched the information that Henry had given his family about an assault. Remember when someone attacked him in January? About the radio forums or whatever? Yeah, that was Curtis. And get this gutter slut, Ashley, she knew about it. She just must not have felt the need to mention that to anyone. Nice. When investigators asked her about it, she sweetly provided the police with the location of the bent hammer. Yeah, that's how hard he hit him. Oh my God. Anyway, the bent hammer that Curtis used, and told them that Curtis actually left Henry's house in January thinking and believing he'd killed the man. And that's not enough to report him, but okay. The detectives had to play a Hail Mary. Ironically, that phrase is a religious one, and they had to do the same thing with religious overtones. They had to make a deal with the devil herself. If Ashley admitted after the fact that she was an accessory to the murder, she would get the weak-ass sentence of 10 months in jail, drug treatment, and 3 years of probation. Anyway, at least they now had a case against douchebag Curtis. And they charged him with second-degree murder and assault. And off to trial they went. I don't agree with that. Anyway, in August of 2020, the prosecution painted Curtis as an extremely jealous and controlling boyfriend. In his testimony, I mean, who lets a defendant take the stand? But anyway, good. Let him talk. Curtis denied any jealousy at all, but the prosecution produced hundreds of documents, texts, all that, and it totally contradicted his claims. He was a nut job. When Ashley was on the stand, she explained that she and Henry were living in an abandoned mobile home at the start of 2018. Stapp went on to testify that she remembered Kruger had apparently followed her to the property, busted in, and started beating Henry within an inch of his life with a hammer. She stated that he had thrown the hammer that he had used to beat Henry, the bent sideways one from earlier, into the desert near the property where they were squatting. Curtis, when asked about this, stated that Ashley had told him before that night that she had been indecently assaulted by Henry and feared the man. Curtis started then having concerns about Stapp's double life and her addiction and lying and everything. His concerns were getting more serious. He started to wonder if actually, instead of being taken advantage of, she was actually cheating on him. And if she ever even was indecently assaulted by Stange. She might have been a willing partner into the drugs for sex relationship. Ding, ding, ding.
Ooh, you whore.
Believing that now that she might actually be lying to him. But he didn't break up with her. He says he tried, but she wouldn't let him. And then I found later that they gotten engaged. Okay. Recalling the hammer attack, Ashley said that she went to see Stange the day after to see if he was okay. She described Henry's couch pillows as having been covered in blood and noticed that Henry was bleeding from his ears, most likely from a concussion after the hammer beating from Curtis. That wasn't enough to keep these two apart, though. On May 23rd, 2018, Stange emailed Ashley about getting his prescription filled the next day. She threw her phone in the bushes of her mom's house to keep Curtis from being able to track her when she was over at Stange's house, and off she went. They proceeded to drink, party, snort pain pills, and at some point she said she slept with him. Of course she did. And later, while she went to the bathroom, Henry went to the garage, carport, whatever. Curtis, who had been trying to track Ashley's phone this whole time, was getting antsy and trying to find her. He recalled that she would tell him about those indecent assaults from Henry and said that he was getting supposedly worried that she was being attacked again. This is all such garbage, but I have to read it. Curtis then drove over to the property that he'd been to prior and saw Ashley's car. And he confronted Stange in his garage carport area, and that's where he savagely beat and attacked Henry. He beat the poor man this time just like before, except there was only one difference. He killed him this time. Curtis dragged Ashley out of the bathroom, and the two hightailed it out of there back to her mom's house, only to return the next day to get poor Henry. Thinking nothing of the man, actually less than garbage that just needed to be taken out. They loaded his body into Curtis's truck, set out for Joshua Tree National Park. Inhumane to a fault. Anyway, long trial longer. After deliberating for 4 days, a Riverside County jury found Curtis Kruger guilty of second-degree murder and assault, sentencing him to 15 years for the murder and 3 years for the assault, to be run consecutively for a total of 18 years. Now, what is weird is that the jury actually stated they did not believe that Curtis intended to actually kill Henry, but just wanted to hurt him. But oops, accidentally killed him. Are you serious? I mean, what horse shit. Even after Ashley Stapp openly admitted that her relationship with Henry was only trading sex for drugs, never ever saying that there was any force or any indecent assault whatsoever. She went on to say that she helped Kruger clean up the crime scene and bury Henry in the state park. It's unbelievable that Ashley, the devil incarnate, got such a lenient sentence. It makes me so mad. But as you can imagine, she skipped out on her treatment program after her jail term. Of course she did, leading to a parole violation. Big whoop. But guess what? She's free as a bird now. And if she still plays with the pills, which I would not be surprised at all if she did, just know that, little girl, there's fentanyl out there now. And boo, you might want to rethink those pills, honey. Or not, because no one would miss you anyway. I tried to look her up, looking up Nicole Stapp, Ashley Stapp, even Ashley Kruger. Can't find anything. Probably good, though, because I would sure have put her on blast here if I found something. That's for sure. Old Curtis, he's up for parole in 2030. Lucky for us. With our justice system, he'll be out and, probably free sooner than that. Just another guy capable of killing someone living among us. No big deal. Well, that is it. I got all riled up. Now it's over. That's it for this story. I hate this ending. I hate everything. I hate the people involved. I hate the sentence. I hate Curtis. I hate Ashley. Henry, he was no angel. He had his own set of problems. He definitely could get on some people's nerves. But Ashley, she could even be described as a victim to her addictions. But as I said thousands of times, I've been high as hell on all sorts of substances. Longest stint of days awake I had was like 6 days straight. Never, not one time did I ever find myself capable of murder or even thought about it. Never. You are who you are, regardless of what substances you have in your system. Ashley and Curtis, they're just mean. They're mean people who cared only about themselves for their own supposed happiness. Where did that get you? Was it worth it? I hope he haunts your dreams. I hope you think you see his face everywhere. I can't stand people like this. I wish the worst for him. I know you're not supposed to think that bad stuff about people, but I do. But by looking at their lives up to this point, I'll quote Taylor Swift, because y'all know that I'm a secret Swiftie. There's nothing secret about it. Anyway, she just said in that Time article, the trash eventually takes itself out. Well, hopefully Henry's family can come to terms with this loss. And I know that eventually, maybe not even in this realm or on this planet, but at some point in time, Curtis and Ashley will get theirs. Best believe that. We'll see you in the next video soon. And until then, homicidal homies, we'll see you. Bye.
I love all my people out there.